G'day everyone, I'm Smokescreen and welcome back to another video, and here we go with another Lewis Hamilton DLC track guide and diamond lap from myself here. Hopefully you can use this to improve your lap time and ultimately try and beat Mr. Hamilton himself, 6 or 7 time Formula 1 world champion at this point here. We all know this by now. You remember the Lewis Hamilton DLC. It was from quite a while ago, so I'm still chipping away at it. But I have since beat another one of his times at Nurburgring GP circuit, so the little Grand Prix circuit at the bottom of the Nordschleife, which is quite good for GT3 cars actually. So yeah, so we're going to come through another lap here. So we know the car as well, Mercedes AMG GT3, running non-BoP settings, so 100% power, 100% weight. So it's a very understeery machine, and I felt it was really more down to the car than the track this time, to be honest, because the key to this time, besides the chicane at the end of the lap, but we'll see that shortly, is trying to control this car's weight, understeer and oversteer through the corners here. So yeah, that's basically it. You've got to try and just slow the car up for the apex and focus on the exit. The exit is the most important thing. A lot of slow corners, and that first sector, 1, 2, 3, 4 slow corners, one after the other. It's really about your racing line through the first sector. The final sector, however, it's all about the chicane. So Lewis Hamilton doesn't quite understand the Gran Turismo track limits. So you see, we're 3 tenths down at this point. We clatter the chicane as we do in this game. You can see we get ourselves 2 tenths up, over 2 tenths up, so about half a second we gained through that chicane alone. And some people might go, well, that's cheating, you cut the corner. Do you see a penalty? I don't, so therefore it was clean. 2 wheels on the curb and 2 wheels sort of on the inside of the curb is the Gran Turismo track limit, so that is what we're going to be using. Lewis Hamilton does it more on driver merit across the whole lap, and then takes the chicane as you would expect. Not running the ultra cut line, but you know, we're just going to do how Gran Turismo allows us to do it, and that allows us to get a diamond lap. So we're going to slow down the lap as per the format I've formulated for these guides here. So we're going to slow it down. I think I chose 0.4 times of speed here, but now we're going to focus on braking points. Looking on the left hand side, I turn off the ghost for this one, braking just before the end of the tarmac on the left hand side. You can select first gear here, but I felt as though the car was much more balanced in second gear and you got less oversteer on the exit. You can see down the dip there, quite aggressive on the dip there, and then just open up the steering as you get onto the power, and you can see we gain a little bit of time on the exit of that corner there. Into turn 2, it's pretty much as soon as the car straightens up out of 1, you begin to just slow down, ease off the power. You may even trail brake a little bit into turn 2 here. Don't really have a braking point for that corner, to be honest. I use corner markers, so as soon as that corner marker was in front of the car, I got onto the power quite aggressively, and then we're braking about 2 car lengths before the end of the green on the right hand side. And then for this corner, turn 3, we want to go ultra slow, so we're really slow through here. Half the car on that inside, it's really grippy on the inside there, and you can see we just straighten up towards turn 4 and trying to focus on the exit as a straight follow. So that is why we sacrifice turn 3 so much, because turn 4 is infinitely more important. You can also extend the exit of turn 4 a little bit using the tarmac or the alternate layout. Over on the right hand side, braking point for turn 5, braking just before the end of the tarmac on the right hand side of the circuit, and we are sliding it in here. Be very careful, your tyres may be dirty thanks to running wide on the previous corner, but get through there nicely. Braking just on the end of the curb on the left hand side, second gear, really overslow the car here. We ran slightly deep, so we had to slow down a little bit more than I would like, but once we touch that accelerator pedal on the exit of the corner, we do not want to come out of that throttle. That is kind of the key to these slow corners here at Nurburgring GP. And heading down towards turn 7, otherwise known as Dunlop Kiere. I think Kiere is like corner or curve in German, correct me if I'm wrong. Looking on the left hand side, we're going to be braking just on the start of that white, really thick white curb on the left hand side. of the track there, and we're going to take a nice V shape. You can see a little bit of an apex there, run wide in the bottom part of the corner, and then bring it closer to the apex, the second apex, closer to the inside curb. As we get onto the power, it gets us a straighter exit up the hill towards Michael Schumacher S of turns 8 and 9. So these corners here in a regular Group 3 with BOP is flat out, just, but in this car here it is absolutely not, so we don't really have a point. I guess we're turning in just where the corner marker is, but we turn in a little bit late. You can get your front left on the inside of that curb, inside of that apex of turn 8, and it turns the car a little bit better, so we lose quite a hefty chunk of time, about a tenth, maybe even more than a tenth, going through Michael Schumacher S there, but not to worry. Coming up towards turn 10, we're looking on the right hand side, or sort of just where the car is braking, just after the shadow that the sort of big gantry leaves on the circuit there. Third gear through here. I was quite good through this corner, I guess. Not too bad. Try and get onto the power and control oversteer. Very oversteer as the cam is up. And then for turn 11, Bilstein curve. I don't really have a braking point here, but it's just kind of early, I suppose. It just takes practice, that. Third gear through here. I think I did go down to second momentarily on the entry, but back up to third for the exit. Second gear, you have too much wheel spin. Heading down the straight, so you can see the sort of first sector was good, second sector was not so great. I'm about 4 tenths down at this point, but I kept going with this lap because I knew Lewis Hamilton doesn't take the chicane like you can in this game. So keep it over on the right hand side. We're going to be looking for the brake markers on the chicane here, or for the chicane rather, and then looking on the right hand side, it's just before the 100 meter board, maybe about 2 car lengths before the 100 meter board. Second gear, chuck it in really early, let the car rotate, and we just completely jump over these curbs here. As long as you keep a fraction of one tyre on the red and white curb, no matter where the other tyres are, you'll get through there penalty free. And a little bit of squirm on the exit, but it's not to worry. Coming up towards the final corner, we're 2 tenths up, braking just on the left hand side where that dry patch of grass starts, and then we're going to try and trail brake. I prefer to do a late apex for this corner, but you can do a sort of mid apex if you like. On the exit here we get a little bit of oversteer. We just had to correct it as the car does a little bit of a bobble on the exit there, but we are 2 tenths up. We come across the line with a 155.1 as opposed to Lewis Hamilton's 155.3, so a fairly decent margin there. I was quite happy with this one here. So now we're going to go through a full speed lap. We're going to take into account the braking points and what we've learned here, and hopefully you can try and help, or try and further beat Lewis Hamilton if you haven't already. Coming into the final showcase of my lap here. Coming into turn 1 on the left hand side, braking just before the end of the tarmac on the left hand side. Second gear for turn 1, quite an aggressive apex if you know what I'm trying to say there. Coming into turn 2, no braking point I'll really have for that corner, just as long as you kind of point out towards the exit just in time. About 2 car lengths before the end of the green on the right hand side, we brake for turn 3. Very, very conservative through 3 in order to prioritise turn 4. You can use the tarmac, the alternate layout there. Coming down towards turn 5, looking on the right hand side of the circuit, we're going to be braking just before the end of that tarmac of another alternate layout of this track. Third gear through here, braking just on the end of the curb on the left. We ran slightly deep here, but we managed to kind of rescue it with a late apex and sort of a nice smooth power application. Heading down towards turn 7, looking on the left hand side of the circuit, braking just before the start of the curb, or just on the start of the curb on the left hand side, and we take a nice V shape through here, trying to get a straight exit up the hill towards Michael Schumacher S. I don't really have any references for this, but kind of just where the corner marker is, I turn in, lift off and turn in. We can kind of get a wheel up onto the inside curb of turn 8, turn the car better. We failed to do that, so turn in a bit earlier than I did. Braking just on the shadow, coming into turn 10, third gear through here and smoothly onto the power. Once again, I don't have a braking point for turn 11, but just as long as it's early in order to focus on the exit. And heading down the back straight, which does contain turn 12, known as Advenbogen, heading in towards the chicane of questionable track limits here, otherwise known as the Vidal chicane, braking about a car length before the 100 meter board and absolutely clattering these curbs, just keeping your rolling speed up and just really just let the car fly over the curbs. Final corner, braking just where the dry grass starts on the left hand side and try and get a good exit. I don't, a little bit of oversteer I had to correct there, but ultimately at the end, 2/10 margin beating Lewis Hamilton, almost a 2/10, 1/1000th of a second off being 2/10 ahead there. 155.1. That one took me about an hour. So in the grand scheme of the DLC, one of the easier ones, I thought it was going to be a hard one, but it was actually fairly easy once I got the car dialed in. But I do hope you enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments if it assisted you in any way in beating his time here or getting closer to him. Do hit that like button if you enjoyed, and do subscribe if you'd like to see more videos from me. But that's going to be the end of this one today, and that means that is it from me. So once again, I do thank you very much for watching. See you later.